heard that right. Back from a short hiatus. This is the Sports Recap Show, 92.9 WAME. And I am Harry the Menu Nostrand, joining my good buddies and cohorts once again, Brian the Professor Suarez, and the Commander, Bryson Davis.
Good to have you back, bud.
Yes, man, it is good to be back. Unfortunately, one of my colleagues, my compatriots, the one that took a little trip across the pond with me, is still recovering from said trip.
What day did you get back?
Sunday night.
Oh, are you still recovering? Yeah,
I won't deny it was a good time.
You have a guest with us too.
Well, we're gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna do that. But
Yeah,
anyway,
we put him on the air at the get-go.
wait, is
Yeah.
this guy important? I'm just kidding.
Kidding.
Listen, if you want to talk hockey, and checkers hockey especially, there's no other source for hockey you want to talk about. TJ Shlove, the Charlotte Checkers. TJ, welcome to the show. I don't know. I saw you the other night when we did the broadcast from the Bowplex, and I thought you looked pretty sharp, man. I mean, you've never looked that good when you come into the studio here, so I figure you've got to be a big deal. It reminds me of a phrase I once heard. It involves a pig and lipstick.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
No, TJ, we appreciate you joining us tonight, man. Obviously, if you're here, we want to talk Charlotte Checkers hockey.
Hold on. We're gonna get to all of that here in a minute. We got birthdays and a little bit of trivia first.
Oh,
As always, Harry missed that part.
well, I figured we were just bringing TJ in to get to the good stuff.
He needs to play into the interesting stats. You'll see what's gonna happen.
Okay.
That's why I got him on right now. All right, so let's start off with birthdays. Harry, John Havlicek.
Havlicek stole the ball.
And then I got a couple there's some more.
Okay.
A couple of North Carolina guys. Catfish Hunter.
Heard of him.
You know who he is?
Baseball player.
Hertford, North Carolina. Yeah.
Wait, he's from really Hertford?
Yeah.
No way. Okay.
All right,
Middle of nowhere, by the way.
This might be one TJ might know, and all of y'all may not. TJ, do you know who Jim Lampley is? Yeah, he's a sports commentator. Used to be did a lot of stuff on ABC. Also born today, his birthday today. He was born in Hendersonville, North Carolina.
He's a mountain boy.
A couple North Carolina guys. All right, and then we got a couple. We got Gary Carter,
The baseball player.
baseball player Gary
Okay.
Carter.
Yeah. Famous for the 1993 World Series.
Yeah. Felix
I wasn't going to say it, but he did.
Felix Hernandez. Whoops, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, TJ. Felix Hernandez, King Felix?
King Felix, yeah.
Baseball player, yeah.
Yep. And then one more, football player. C.D. Lamb.
Wide receiver, Dallas Cowboys, for at least for the next few minutes.
Yep. All right, so.
Hey, real quick, King Felix Hernandez, Hall of Famer?
No.
Okay. All right.
Do you think he is for you?
No, he's cusp for me. He's really good, but I don't know if he's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Hall of really good.
Hall of really good.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that one. Yep. All right. Trivia question.
Okay.
Only 3 players in NBA history have an 8-0 record in NBA Finals. Can you name the 3 of them?
Bill Russell.
No. He's
What?
Not one of them. He is not one of them.
Are we talking about in series or games?
Series.
So they won it
They
eight.
were in the finals 8 times and won every single time.
So they won an 8 NBA championships.
Yes.
Okay, Bill Russell's not on that list. Holy
No.
smokes. Okay.
Now he has more than 8, but he's lost.
No, I know, but I think they lost it all.
Nope. 8-0.
Okay. So let's go with Kareem.
Nope.
Damn, who'd they lose to?
Probably lost when he was with the Bucks, not the Lakers. Let me tell you this. I'll give you a clue. They all played for the same team.
The Celtics?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now one of them should be pretty obvious. The birthday boy.
Yeah, I would say John Havlicek.
Right? He's
Yeah.
one.
Yep. Well, and that's when I was starting to think of Bill. I'm like, okay, who else could this
So
possibly?
you'll know another one, and then the other one you probably won't. Let me put it to you that way. But they all played in the same time frame.
I want to say Pete Maravich, but
No. Celtics. They all play for the Celtics.
They all play for the
Yes.
Celtics. Okay. Does Red Auerbach count?
Nope. He's not one of them. We're not gonna, I'll give them to you. All right. The one you probably won't know is Tom Sanders,
Yep, definitely didn't know that.
but the one you probably would is Casey Jones.
Yeah, I should know
Right.
that.
All right, so I'll give you a couple others too. So they're 8-0,
I mean, there's only so many guys that won 8 NBA championships. This is crazy.
7-0. Robert Ory.
Oh, Lakers and Spurs.
Yep.
Yep.
2 6-0 players. Michael Jordan,
Yep.
Scottie Pippen,
Yeah. Teammates.
and then 2 guys 5-0. Ron Harper. You may or may not know.
I know
him,
Ron
right?
Harper. Yeah.
Steve Kerr.
And that was courtesy of Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, by the way.
And then there were others that like weren't of it. I stopped right there.
Wow.
All right. Okay. So check this out. And TJ, this is the part you need to get in on the interesting stats. So no. All right. So listen. So the other day against the Islanders on Sunday, Alex Ovechkin scored his 895th goal. Okay. Yeah, he did. Against the Islanders. And get this, Wayne Gretzky's last goal, 894, was against the same New York Islanders. Now here's the crazy stat. Here's the craziest stat. It took Alex Ovechkin 1,487 games to score 895 goals. You paying attention, Harry?
I'm listening.
It took him 1,487 games to score 895 goals.
How many? 1,487?
Yep. You know how many games it took Wayne Gretzky to score 894 goals?
1,488.
1,487, the exact same number.
I was good.
How crazy is that?
That's wild.
I actually. Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, you mean when Gordie Howe broke the record? When he broke the record?
Not 1,487 days. I'm gonna
No.
say.
Oh, wow. Gordie Howe probably set that record back. It had to be before the early 70s because he played in the WHA. He came back to the NHL, though. Are you counting that? Okay. The time.
$10 years.
Yeah, it had to be way
31.
more.
Wow.
All right. Ooh.
Surely not 31 years,
Oh, it's gonna
3
be
months.
close. Yeah, it's got to be really close.
No,
Holy
Jack,
smokes.
no way.
Oh,
That's
wow.
insane.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
insane. Yep. Somebody's gonna break that record.
Who's it gonna be?
He's not even born yet.
Yeah.
So just give him some time. Just give
All
him
right,
some
hey.
time. He
That-
could be.
he'd have to
He
be
would-
born.
He would have to.
Yeah.
Who's the guy playing out in Edmonton right now?
Edmonton.
Yeah, it's gonna be him.
No.
Just kidding.
All right, hey, I got one other very interesting one, and TJ, I'm going to count on you for this one. So I need you to kind of explain what is plus minus. It's not that prevalent right now because of analytics, but it's always been a stat. So can you explain what plus minus is? Right. Hey. And let's clarify this too. It's 5-on-5. It doesn't count power play, correct? All right, so check this out. So remember, they have both played the same amount of games. Alex Ovechkin is a plus 62 in his career. Okay. Wayne Gretzky in his career was a plus 520. Yeah. 1,963 assists. Yeah. All right. All right. Who? Who is the career active leader in goals next to Ovechkin? Obviously, who's number 2? 622. That's 18th all time. Do you know who's next after Crosby? Next active player? Steven Stamkos.
Oh, I was going to say that, and I was so scared.
580. That's
I was
22nd.
so scared to say
And then the
that.
one guy that Right. All right. I wrote down one more because I wanted to see like a young guy. Obviously, those two guys are getting to the end of their career. So I picked a young guy to see where he was. So Austin Matthews, right, has 398 career goals. You know where he is on the all-time list? Oh, on the all-time list. Yeah. I believe that's 112th.
I was gonna say probably like around like 90th or something like that.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on and let's talk about the Checkers as you try to start a little early before the birthdays. Checkers are in second place right now, 86 points. Yeah. He has 34 goals right now, which is second highest in a single season to Zach Boychuk at 36.
Wow.
With 5 games left. Everybody's favorite what? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, all right. So let's start there. Second at 86 points, 4 better than the baby Penguins and the Providence Bruins. They do. No, they're one off. I looked at the Calder Cup thing today. Penguins have 6 games to play. Correct. TJ. So I have a question about the first series you talked about, if they're third or fourth. Does the quote visiting team serve as the home team for one of those games and get the last line change? Oh, so they don't. Not at all. Wow. Okay. I wasn't aware of that. I thought that one of the games, the quote visiting team, was actually served as a home team and had last line change. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing, TJ, and first of all, TJ is a fantastic individual, but what it sounds like is TJ is taking credit for the success of the Charlotte Checkers.
So I would
That's an outlier.
so I would say, TJ, your plus minus is pretty good. You're pretty high up there.
Hey, but you know what? But here's the problem. Like he said, this is his fourth year, right? The first year the Checkers were first. The second year they were second. The third year they were third.
I say this is the year. Yep.
Out. We going to the finals, Bryson. We're going to the finals.
I'm looking forward to it. I like my odds with TJ. TJ has brought a great aspect to the team, and I think if that cycle does repeat, which it's due to repeat, I think we're looking forward to a good postseason.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so hey, let's talk about. You wanted to bring up the games this weekend coming up against the Utica Comets.
Not wrong.
Hey, and speaking of, Utica is in 7th place in the North Division. However, In their last 10, they're 6-3-1, and they've won 5 in a row. So they're coming in hot. Hey, so one thing, we've had some call-ups to Florida, so we've had to rely on some players who have just recently joined the Charlotte Checkers. Hey, and one more thing before we let you go. Speaking of stepping up, on Sunday, Checkers trailed 2-0 and come back and score 3 unanswered goals, including the one in overtime to win the game, and a big win, to put Providence 2 points behind us. So this weekend, puck drops on Saturday at 4 o'clock, Sunday at 1 p.m. A bunch of stuff going on down at the Bowplex, Bojangles Coliseum. Where can people get tickets? Well, TJ, we thank you for coming on the air with us, and we'll get you back in here in about 2 weeks, and we'll preview the playoffs. Hopefully, the Checkers will do well this weekend, and then next weekend, and be in first, be ahead of the Hershey Bears, and win the division. Thank you, TJ. So we're going to take a commercial. We're going to take a commercial break right now, and then Harry and I are going to come back and talk about the NCAA basketball tournament.
Little Shaggers, what's up?
Harry really doesn't want to talk about it.
And I woke up Sunday morning at like 5:45. I looked, and we were staying at a hotel like connected to the airport. I said the night before, I'm like, Mark, I hope it's fucking snowed in here, or not snowed in, fogged in so bad we can't leave. So I go open the window at like 5:45. I go, no fog. He goes, oh, why? So you can wallow in self pity. Oh, why? He goes, you haven't seen the score of the Duke game, have you? I go, what the fuck are you talking about? We were winning.
I fell asleep. I watched the first half.
I'm just glad it happened in Houston last night.
I fell asleep. I looked on my phone before I got back into bed. It said like minute 24, Duke's ahead by 5, and I'm like, okay, we good. I get up in the morning and I'm like, what?
Yeah, can't count them out till you count them out. Oh, yeah, that hurt.
Cooper Flag, baby.
He'll be back.
You think? I didn't even watch the game. I didn't get to watch the game last night.
I didn't watch last night at all.
I didn't either.
Mm-mm.
I didn't get to watch. Well, see, we've had
I didn't
revival
watch
at
it
church,
last night either.
and we had to play bluegrass at this church, and I didn't get home until like 9 o'clock or something. And
Well, like the Duke game, I watched the first half, and now I started falling asleep and I just gave up.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is, I went to church in the morning. These dudes in my Sunday school class were like, "You see that? Wow, they call it a Cooper Flag." Like, what? They're like, "You need to go home and watch that."
Mhm.
I go home and I watch it, and I'm like, the whole first half that I watched, I was watching that game going, "That's not a foul." Like, wait, they're not calling a foul here? And then I watched that play, and I'm like, they called that a foul? Really? Like, no. I mean, they didn't lose the game because of that, but it was like one of those where you're like,
Come on.
like, come on, that's not a foul.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, you're calling that? I mean, that was,
Yep.
that was a ridiculous foul call.
Mhm. Hey, are you going to Merle Fest at all? You do anything with that?
I went last year and it was just okay. I just went one time.
See,
I thought it was some really
we've got a
big-
booth down there this year. Did you know that? Yeah, we're supposed to be handing out bags or something.
I see all them bags back there in that office.
Yeah,
In that big room.
we've got some kind of outdoor expo too. Have you heard about that? That's at the fairgrounds, I think, and it's like I don't know, that they have all different kinds of stuff out there. You'd probably like it. It's probably like camping stuff and things like that, camper vendors and stuff.
Well, after Billy gave me tickets for Merle Fest, and I went. I was kind of disappointed. I was like,
Yeah, it's you
like,
have. It used to be so good, and now you have to like pick and choose like what day. Like you can't. You used to could just go any day and find something good that you like, but now you have to really.
like, we went on Saturday and it was like, and then the one that really killed me is I went to see Donna and the Buffalo because I heard, like people talk about them. I went to see them and I'm like,
They're not that good now. I don't like them. That's not my speed.
what? And I'm like, man, they're not that good. I'm like, Daniel, come on, let's go do something else.
Yeah,
I was like, they're not very good. And all these people are going nuts. And I'm just like,
They're really popular up there, but they're popular with the hippie crowd. Yeah. We got about 30 seconds.
All right.
I like Jim Lauderdale. We'll
Oh,
show
yeah.
him some. He's pretty good.
He is pretty good. Yeah, Jim Lauderdale's on it. I always like the Saturday. They have a jam between like Sam Bush and Jerry Douglas and some of those, and it's usually pretty good. 20 seconds.
Location and see why we love the Murder by Magic Mystery Dinner Night. The calendar is open and you can make your reservations now by visiting ptmarvels.com. Stay connected with PT Marvels by visiting them on Facebook.
Real Country is 550 AM WAME, 92.9 W225BD, Statesville.
And welcome back here to the Sports Recap Show here on 92.9 WAME. I am Harry the Menu Nostra, joined again by my good buddies and cohorts, Brian the Professor Suarez and the Commander, Bryson Davis. We are live from the Rainier Man Studios at Signal Hill. Back, not quite a full ensemble, but, you know, we're getting back to it. The rookie Mark Covert is still recuperating from his exploits overseas.
We want to know what you did to him.
Yeah, what'd you do? What'd you do? How are you feeling? Are you jet lagged at all?
I
You're
mean,
used
he's
to it.
here.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm a
Wait a
little- I mean,
minute.
Right.
listen, I have this thing. It's called the Great Reset.
Right.
When I go overseas, let's say to London, all right,
Mhm.
we once we get into our hotel room, I need about a 2 to 3, let's say 2 hour nap.
Yeah.
Three's pushing it.
Yeah.
Once I get that nap, I've caught up on the sleep I missed on the flight,
There you go.
and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
My sleep pattern just within a day. On the way back, it's a little different because you're coming back. We land at 7 o'clock at night, and being that England's a 5-hour difference, that means my body's telling me it's midnight. So I go home, I get to bed, I get one good sleep, I'm good to go. However, I think where the Rook was done in was the one day where we walked about 9 miles of museums and attractions. Now, I'll be the first to admit, my feet and back were screaming that day as well.
You know what? You know what works for me when I've done late travels to the West Coast?
What's that?
Let's say I've been to Vegas a couple times, right?
Mhm.
So if I leave Charlotte early in the morning, I get to Vegas at lunchtime, which feels like 3 o'clock. But what I do is I eat lunch.
That kind of is like a
I
reset.
start eating
to your,
based on the time zone,
it
not
get-
based on my body. So
it
when
gets
I
your body clock for your
right
eating
when I
cycle.
get there and it's lunchtime, then I'm eating. And then a lot of times, what I'll do sometimes is around 5 o'clock before dinner, I might take a nap for an hour or two, right?
So you
and
do your own
then-
reset then.
And then
Yeah.
sleep, right? Take a nap for an hour to eat dinner at like 5 o'clock or 6, what I'm normally used to.
Mhm.
And then I'm usually good. Like then I try to stay up like I normally would,
Yeah.
right? And then the next day I get up in the morning and usually I'm good. On the
Yeah.
way back, it's a little trickier. However,
Mm.
my way back so far, other than a couple West Coast trips, has been to take a red eye. And
Oh yeah,
I
get a couple hours sleep on the plane.
somehow can sleep on the plane. Like a couple times back from Vegas,
Mhm.
one of my first trips. Here's what I remember: we pushed back, right? They dimmed the lights. I was in the aisle seat. The lady's smacking me next to me.
Mhm.
I look at her and I go, "You got to go to the bathroom?" She's like, "Yes." And it's like 2:30 in the morning.
Mhm.
I get out in the aisle. She goes. I let her back in. I go back to sleep. And the next thing I know, I look at my watch. It's like 6 o'clock, and I'm like, "Dang, we're gonna land in Charlotte here in a
Yeah.
couple minutes."
Did-
I get in.
See ya.
I actually went to work that day.
Yeah, see,
I
that's
left
like-
the airport,
That's
got me some
crazy.
breakfast, took a shower, got
Mhm.
dressed, and went to work.
It's not that hard, but I will say, you know, and God bless Mark, the kid's never had to do this before. He's never flown out of the country and had experienced that big of a time change. So it can be tough for sure.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And especially our trip was a go, go, go. There wasn't a whole lot of relaxing involved. And that was the point. We wanted to see and do a lot in a short amount of time. So, and you know, I don't know if what he's dealing with is just pure, just being exhausted. I mean, there was, it could have been a lot of things. There were some beer involved in this trip.
Jet lag.
There were
Some.
yeah, more like beer lag.
Some.
We ate a lot of good food. So I mean,
Some of the
listen,
pubs.
yeah, I mean the night before we
Mhm.
left, we had Japanese. That could be messing with them a little
Oh,
bit,
yeah.
I guess. But
Japanese food in England.
yeah. Oh, hey, no. So if you don't know, have you been to England, Brian?
No.
All right, you don't go to England to eat English food and cuisine. You go to London and you can try the international flavors of the world. I mean, Mark will tell you he had the best time he's ever had in London while we were there.
Really.
Yeah, so you name a type of food, you can get a high quality version of it in London.
So, speaking of things that you missed,
Mm.
let's talk a little bit about the Final Four.
I didn't
Um,
miss it. I mean,
Well, we'll review it. All right, so let's start off with the Final Four. First game was Florida 79, Auburn 73. Big story of this game. Bruce Pearl, quote, "We couldn't contain Clayton." Walter Clayton Jr. scored 34 points, made 5 3-pointers. He had the first consecutive 30-point games this deep into the tournament since Larry Bird in 1979.
Bruce Pearl should not feel bad. Not many people could contain him this
Right.
year.
At the half, the score was Auburn 46, Florida 38. Comfortable 8-point lead there for Auburn. However, at the beginning of the second half, Florida opened the second half with a 13-3 run. Went up 51-49. I believe they didn't look back after that. Did not trail.
Just because it's the first game you're talking about, I'm going to not say it fully, but you realize there was a theme here in the Final Four games.
Come from behind.
Yeah.
All right. And then the big thing for me in this game, I think both Johnny Broome, Janai, let me get that right, and Chad Baker Mazzara for Auburn were dealing with injuries from the Michigan State game.
Yeah.
I know, I think you weren't here, but we did talk about this a little bit last week, is Janai Broome, when he came back in that game against Michigan State, you could tell he was not 100%. He was hurt. He was favoring his arm.
Yeah, and I tell you right now, and I watched that game start to finish, the Michigan State Auburn game, and I said right then and there, I was like, if that first of all, that was an ugly basketball game, that Michigan State Auburn game. Like, if you watch it, it was ugly basketball. And I said right then and there, I don't care how healthy they are, how not healthy they are. If Auburn comes out and plays like they did against Michigan State, Florida's going to wax them. I mean, they obviously played better, but yeah, the injuries didn't help Auburn. I mean,
No.
that's you at this point in the season, it's tough because at this point in the season, you're going to be banged up more than likely. I mean, it's not like we're talking about football here, but it's a long season. You got to be healthy. You got to be able to play. And I mean, listen, they were able to play, but
yeah,
it's tough when you're not.
I mean, you
able
think
to give
about
it all.
These teams have played what, 30,
35 games,
36, 37 games. So you are banged up. And then the other thing that comes to my mind is, and this is always said, by the end of the season, if you're in the tournament, if you're a freshman, you're not really a freshman.
No,
because you've now played 35 college basketball games
you
instead of
got a season under your belt.
8. You basically have played a whole season. You're not a freshman anymore.
Yep.
So yeah, Auburn went down. Florida, I think Florida had already beaten Auburn once before. I think we talked about that last week. I think they beat them.
Wasn't in the SEC tournament.
Yeah, no, I think they played in the regular season. Yes, Florida 90, Auburn 81. It was during the regular season that they actually did play. So then the next game on Saturday was Houston 70, Duke 67. Very surprising in this game as Houston's defense just smothered Duke, right? Duke had 1 field goal over the last 10 and a half minutes, and their 67 points was their second lowest output this year. And as you say about comebacks, the Cougar defense wiped away a 14-point deficit over the last 8 minutes of the game. I was shocked. I'm going to throw a couple things in here. Like, I watched almost the whole first half, and I was surprised at the non-foul calls in the first half of this game. Like, I'm watching the game going, wow, that wasn't a foul.
Yep.
And which normally you love, because you love to see let them play a little bit. You like that.
Yes. Right.
But you want consistency throughout.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You want consistency throughout at the beginning, the first half.
And it didn't really translate into the second half.
Yeah, it was, like, oh, wow, like, I can't believe they're really letting them play. In the second half, I started off watching. I fell asleep. I went to bed. But before I went to bed, I looked, and it said Duke was ahead by 5 with 1:24 to go, and I kind of figured, all right, we're good. Duke will be in the final.
That's usually a safe lead.
I got up the next day, and it was like, wait, they lost? What? And then I had some people telling me, like, did you see the foul they called on Cooper Flag?
And it was a bogus foul.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. And I was like, what? And I went back and I watched it 4 or 5 times. Now, Duke did not lose the game because of that foul.
No, they did not.
But here's what I can't figure out. After watching the first half, how do you call that foul? Like, the first half was rough as heck.
I'm trying not to give an unbiased opinion here because, listen, as a Duke fan, but as a lover of the game of college basketball, it was a great college basketball game. And the fans got what in both the Final Four games, the fans got their money's worth. Let's just leave it at that. The problem I have is that you're gonna swallow your whistle most of the game, but you're gonna blow that, and it's not even. It wasn't even like questionable. That was. I don't know. That's the only thing. Again, goes back to consistency. Duke did not lose the game on that play, and John Shire and the rest of the Duke team, and I hope most of the Duke fans will tell you that is the case. Did they lose a chance to possibly get back in the game?
Yes.
Yes, they did.
100%.
But who knows what's happening at that point? But if you're Duke, you don't let it get to that position. You
Agree.
you got a
Agree.
14-point lead with what 6 minutes to go in the game or something like that.
8 minutes.
I think it
You
was
had a
actually
14
less than that
okay.
too. So they went cold, partially because of the Houston defense. Houston got hot, and that's the thing. And the Duke question mark has been, listen, there's no shortage of talent on that team. They're
Right.
well coached. They're a championship caliber team. The problem that people had raised questions to, what were they going to do when their backs were against the wall under a pressure cooker situation? Because due to the lack of depth in the ACC this year, they mopped the floor with everyone. They didn't find themselves in a whole lot of confrontational,
Games.
finishes.
Right. Yeah.
And of those games, the Kentucky game that they lost early in the season, they lost to Clemson in a close one. I mean, they didn't have a lot of close games. Now, the one that everyone talked about after the fact was the Arizona game. Caleb Love has 15 straight points to make it a tight game, and then Duke hammered down, and they did well in the clutch situation there. But we're talking about a championship caliber team in Houston, and that is not the same as Arizona. So
Right.
in that situation, it was just too much to overcome. Once the tide had turned for them. And listen, hats off to Houston. I mean, they
Yeah.
did
Oh, yeah.
exactly what they needed to do to get in that game, and they're an extremely well coached team. I believe a pretty senior heavy team.
I think that's right. Yeah.
So those are the type of teams that you find themselves in those positions and know how to execute down the stretch. So, I hate it for Duke, but they had a fantastic season. They had probably one of the most prolific freshmen playing for them in college basketball history. He's a shoo-in for a lottery pick in the NBA.
Right.
If he decides to go that route, I don't see why he wouldn't. As a Duke fan, I'd love to see him come back and try to win a national championship, but it does him no good to do it unless that's truly what he's looking for, a national championship. Because, I say that, but we are now in the era of college sports where these guys aren't missing out on money now.
That's true. Yeah,
So
that's true.
we'll see.
Right.
But
So, and the thing is, now to your point, Houston played a lot of close games. If you think about it,
They
I
did.
think if I remember,
both Kansas games were close. I know
they did not lose by more than 4 points all season.
Yep.
And 3 of their 4 losses were in overtime. And I know that some of the games they won were close. To your point, and we've talked about this on this show a lot. When you have a team that doesn't play close games, when it gets in the playoffs, a lot of times on those close games, they struggle.
People get tight. Duke
They
Duke
just
went
struggle.
cold.
Yeah,
Duke went
and
real
they went
cold.
cold. And so then the other thing is Duke, right? Very talented. I think you got 2 first-round draft picks in the NBA,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then you have 4 or 5 other NBA prospects on that team.
Yeah.
So a loaded team, but again, if you've not been put in those situations, you're not exactly sure how to handle it, right?
Yeah.
And you get tight, and then all of a sudden you see what happens.
I would love to see this team come back, but I mean, listen, and here's the thing. Duke would be fine. John Shire's gotten them to the Final Four in his first 3 years, I think, as the head coach, if I recall correctly, and he got the Elite Eight last year and went up against Cinderella NC
Right.
State. They'll be fine. I mean, it's tough pill to swallow because I think on paper, and I think when the Final Four was announced, Duke was the favorite to win the national championship. And I think had they got past Houston, I like their chances to beat Florida. And that's not to say that Florida's not the best team in the country. I think Florida, we'll get to that point. But I listen, that night when they played Houston,
Mhm.
the better team when the clocks hit 0-0 won the game.
Right. Yeah.
And were they the better team for 75% of that game? Absolutely not. But you got to be the best team when the clock hits 0.
Yep.
And that's what Houston was.
All right. And then last night, Florida 65, Houston 63. Really close game. Once again, come from behind, right?
I love
Florida
the payback.
Listen, Florida only led for 64 seconds the whole game.
When do you want to lead, Brian?
The final 46 seconds it was part of that 64.
When do you want to have
When
that?
it says 0-0-0.
That's right.
Just like I say when I do broadcast football, all that matters is what the clock what the score is when the clock reads 0-0-0.
It don't
right?
matter how you get there.
Well, the crazy thing is, so Walter Clayton, we just talked about in the game before, he scored 34 points, had 2 30-point games in a row. He only had 11 points last night, all in the second half. Houston played defense against him,
Houston plays good
double
defense.
team him and triple team him when he got across the line and make somebody else on Florida beat you. Well, they did actually.
For most of the game, that
For
worked.
most of the game, it worked.
Yeah.
But then in the end, it did not work. And Florida ended up winning 65-63. The end of the game was kind of interesting as the last 2 possessions that Houston had when the game was close, they didn't even get off a shot. If you watch the last one, the guy goes to take a 3-pointer
and tried to fake him out.
Clayton's running right at him, and he ends up not taking the shot, dropping the ball, then he can't pick it up.
So here's the weird thing about that. So I think the guy that went to go shoot the ball was the power forward of the center. And he didn't want to take that shot because that's not his shot.
It was outside the 3-point line.
But they needed a 3 to either win, to win. They
Right.
a 2 takes
Right.
or ties
2
the game.
ties the game.
At that point, you have such a height advantage on the guy, the defender that's coming in. You might as well take your shot.
Right.
The worst scenario for you if you're Houston is to not get a shot off at all.
Which is exactly
And
what
that's
happened.
exactly what
Yeah.
happened. So, dude, take your shot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know what? I know he knows that. In the heat of the moment, it's so much easier said than done
Right.
for us watching, but it's just at that point, just get a shot up. If you don't give your team a chance, nothing happens anyway.
Right.
So
You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
bingo.
Right.
And it's unfortunate for Houston. But listen, you know how many people picked Florida to win the national championship this year? So I think again, if not Duke, I think everyone else pretty much picked Florida. Well, I shouldn't say everyone else. Most people picked Florida. So I think again, we could arguably say the best team in the country won the national championship.
Right.
And listen, college basketball fans should be ecstatic about the Final Four this year. We got treated to some great games in the Final Four.
Yep.
The top 4 seeds from every region made
Right.
it, and it wasn't. I don't know. It's almost like the tournament committee got it right. It's almost like that
Yeah.
happened,
Well, and think about this too.
except for Carolina being in the tournament.
all
at
3 games in the Final Four were come from behind victories.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. I was talking about the
Yeah.
theme. So
Yep.
college basketball fans got treated to some great basketball in the Final Four, and we're not always accustomed to that. I mean, a lot of times, I go back to when Villanova hit the buzzer beater against Carolina.
Right.
We've had some great great college basketball Final Four games, national championship games. But this was great. I mean, literally the cream of the crop, and the cream rose to the top.
And played 3 good games in the finals.
Yeah.
Contrast that with the scores in the women's Final Four.
Oh God.
We'll start off with South Carolina 74, Texas 57, right? Pretty much. Texas was way too reliant on 2 players, Morgan Booker and Rory Harmon, and they did not have good games. Albeit South Carolina won by 17 points. And then the second game, which I thought would be very interesting because to me it was UConn outside game versus the UCLA post play of Lauren Betts. Score that game was 85-51. Lauren Betts had 26 points out of UCLA's 51. Way too much reliance on her. Nobody else really had a good game. The other thing very interesting about this is, Harry, who's UConn's best player?
I mean, this is probably up for debate, but most people are going to say Paige Beckers.
Right. Who scored 16 points in the UCLA game, right?
Yeah. But to be fair, Paige Beckers has been more of a facilitator this year than she has been a scorer.
Aziz Feud had 19 points,
Mm-hmm.
and Sarah Strong, freshman, had 22 points in that game. UConn just had a more balanced attack than UCLA. Took it to them, beat them 85-51. Like not even a close game. UConn was ahead almost the whole time.
Well, and I could have wrote the book on that one because as a Southern Cal fan as well, UConn played USC the game before UCLA, albeit without the best player in the country,
Right.
with USC's star Juju Watkins going down with a torn ACL, and UConn mopped the floor with them. Now, keep in mind, USC has beaten UCLA 3 times this year. That
Yeah.
could have told you
Yeah.
exactly how this was going to go.
All right. So then the final was UConn against South Carolina, the storied UConn Huskies against South Carolina, the defending champs. Final score 82-59. UConn took the lead about
30 seconds
late
into the game.
second. Well, in the late second quarter, they went up by 10 and they led by double digits the rest of the way. So, I mean,
I don't want people to undervalue what UConn did to South Carolina. South Carolina's defending national champs, and is what UConn was back in the day. Now, don't get me wrong,
Right,
UConn's
right.
always a great program in women's basketball, or in men's too, but they are always in the mix. But South Carolina's been on a dominant run. It's been a little bit different year for them because normally South Carolina has a big, like a tall, like a big,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah, agree.
can dominate to an extent. They didn't really have that this year. Don't know if it really would have mattered against UConn. This was a team that was on a mission. Gino Auriemma's Huskies were on a mission. Paige Beckers adapted and evolved as a basketball player this year. Wasn't just a scoring force. She was a facilitator. She played defense. This is probably top to bottom as far as talent wise and contributions from players, one of his deepest teams and most balanced teams that he's had. Because you go back to the years where they had Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore, Brianna Stewart.
Yep.
These were great players who had other great, role players with them, but they were the star of the show.
Right.
Paige Beckers this year made everyone the star.
17 points for Paige in that final game. Sarah Strong with 24 points and 15 rebounds. And Food with 24 points. And I believe Sarah Strong was named the most outstanding player of the women's Final Four.
And she probably should
I'm
be,
pretty
100%.
sure she was.
And I was watching something on UConn. One of their role players was a Harvard transfer this year.
Wow.
A
I didn't know that.
Harvard transfer. Think about what Gino's getting out of a girl that went to school not to play basketball.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, she didn't go to Harvard for basketball.
No, no.
So I mean, I don't know. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Regardless, men's, women, Gino Auriemma is one of the best basketball coaches of all time.
I believe that's his 12th title. I think that's right.
I thought it was 14, but maybe you're right.
Was it 14?
You might be right.
Just real quick though, too. So none of the South Carolina starters had double figures, and they could not sustain any kind of offensive attack. Meanwhile, Connecticut in both games just had a good balanced attack, good team basketball, right? So congratulations to the UConn Huskies on their championship, either number 12 or 14 for Gino Auriemma, and they'll be back. I think he signed a 3 or 4 year contract extension to continue coaching him.
I don't know how old Gino is right now.
71.
I was going to say, he doesn't seem like an old coach.
He's 71.
Good for him.
So
yeah, and I tell you, it was great being in Boston Sunday when that game was happening.
Yeah, I bet it was.
That may be not technically UConn territory, but New England kind of pulls for the favorite there, and UConn's the one when you're talking college basketball. So
all right, so let's switch and talk about some MLB. Harry, your Yankees, or not your Yankees, your hated Yankees. Let's rephrase this, Harry. Your hated Yankees. The first series against my Brewers were using some new bats, some torpedo bats. Hit a bunch of home runs.
9 home runs in a game, I think.
And had a bunch of RBIs. You seen this? Torpedo bats legal? Is there an unfair advantage? We should get Mark Webb to chime in on this one.
Well, we could actually, and I'd be interested to hear what he'd have to say. Did they make they're not illegal?
No, they're not illegal. It's just made differently.
Yeah, and this is my take on the situation. I'll keep this very brief. If there's something wrong with it, baseball bans it. If there's nothing wrong with it, they won't.
Right,
ban it.
it's totally legal. The bat is. Have you seen a picture of this bat?
Oh yeah,
it's
so weird.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen
Bryson?
it. It's weird.
Then it gets thick, and then it gets thin again.
And then at the end, it's thin again. Yeah.
But as long as the bat weighs the same, it doesn't matter where the thick of it is. So if you're narrowing, and the fact that they've figured out that this is it's a loophole essentially.
To be fair, there's right where that sweet spot of that bat is a nice thick part. To hit.
But hold on a minute, because you know why that is? Because what they did is they're using analytics to see where the guy barrels hits the ball, and they're fine tuning the bat to put the thicker wood where that guy hits the ball. So some of them will have it more towards the label, right?
Custom
more towards
bat,
the handle, and others will have it more towards the end of the bat. But the end is very small because you don't want to hit it off the end anyway.
But here's my argument. You know me, I'm the biggest Yankee hater there is.
Yeah.
If every other team can do it, then I don't see the issue.
Yeah.
Right. There is no issue here. Like everybody.
Well, no, there's people that have been in an uproar about this.
Right, but it's totally legal. And if you look around, you can find some articles where other players have tried that bat, and they say it's really weird. Like you really got to practice with it. I'll give you one that I read that I remember. Max Muncy said he was given one, and he tried it a little bit. He had 1 or 2 at-bats with it in the game, and then he was like, yeah, that's not for me. My swing feels different. The bat feels different. The handle feels different.
Do you know what it reminds me of? And honestly, I don't know if, as a hitter, this is what it feels like. But you know the bat you would take to practice to warm up with, it had the flexibility and all that.
Yeah.
But it was really narrow and whatnot.
Yep.
Just to get your swing motion and start getting locked in like that. That's how I feel like that would feel like swinging. There's no way it feels like swinging a normal bat.
Yeah. See, the guys I read, like the major leaguers, I read a lot of them who said they had tried it but didn't like it. It feels very different when they swing that bat.
Yeah.
Than their normal bat. And there was a couple of them were like, I've used the same bat model for 10 years. Why would I switch now?
Well, if you're
Yeah.
batting 200 for 10 years, then
Yeah.
I can understand. But if you're
But,
batting 340,
yeah. So
Yeah.
yes, not illegal, not just a Yankee thing.
everyone has access to it.
There doesn't need to be this big uproar.
Are there any other teams that have really stood out other than the Yankees that have like tried this and adopted it and brought it in well?
I
'Cause
don't.
The Tokyo
No.
Giants.
it seems to me something like New York kind of figured this out, and obviously they've had to have some practice with it before
Oh, they've
breaking
been
it
out
out
there
in the
for a while.
season.
What-
Spring
the-
training. They've been using them a bunch of spring
Haven't been
training.
doing it in college?
Well, they have aluminum bats though. But
The guys that have wooden bats, I thought have
I
had
don't
the
know.
opportunity to do these
maybe,
short
but the
beetle
Yankees
bats.
were doing it a lot in spring training because evidently what I read was it takes a lot of getting used to. The
Yeah.
bat feels way different. Aaron Judge is not using it, and he hit 4 home runs the first weekend. So, what does that tell you?
that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not the arrows; it's the Indian.
Yeah, there
Is that
you
what
go.
you're saying?
Yeah, it's 100% what it is.
All right, so Vlad Guerrero.
Hey, hold on
became-
real quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Before we continue, since it's
Yep.
not on here.
All right.
Rafi Devers went 4 for 4 like the other day and didn't have 19 strikeouts. I just want to point that out.
Hey, all right. So Vlad Guerrero is now the $500 million man. What do you think about this?
I think if Patrick Mahomes can do it, I think Vladdy Guerrero could do it. I
Like-
mean, listen, we've talked about this before. Your value is what someone's willing to pay you.
That's right. Agree.
If the Blue Jays think he's a $500 million man, so be it.
Well, here's the thing. You know, he wanted to stay there.
Yeah.
Like he made that known. Here's the other thing. Did you know that he's actually a Canadian?
I did know that because
know that?
because his dad played in
Yep,
Montreal and he was
and
born
that's
in
where he
Montreal.
was born.
Yep.
That's right. So he is actually a Canadian. How bad would that have looked if they let him go to another team? And the Yankees the Blue Jays actually lost out on. They were in the Shohei Ohtani Derby, lost it. Juan Soto lost it. There's no way they're going to lose this one.
Well, and this is their homegrown talent as of right now.
That's
so,
right.
You know, as far as like he's only played with them. You know, he the guy is a power hitter, and that's something your team desperately needs. Like you lose him, you lose production big
Right.
time.
Right.
So listen, if that was the number they landed on, they said this is what you're worth us. I mean, 100%, yes, go for it. You know, I don't know what this does to the rest of the cap for them, but I'm assuming it's going to bind them up a little bit to get more. So you're expecting a lot out of Vlad Guerrero Jr. But I mean, he's your guy. That's
He's your guy.
you want. Yeah.
Yep. All right. The Braves, are they the worst team in baseball?
Mm.
I don't think so. They're off to a bad start, but
they are 1-8.
but you still have the White Sox and the Rockies. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're the worst team. They're off to
I
a
think-
very bad
I
start.
think they're the most underperforming team in baseball right now.
100%. Yep. 100%.
You know, yeah, no, they're not the worst team in baseball. Then they won't be the worst team in baseball. They're off to a bad start. I don't care what happens in April. I care what starts happening in June, July.
And we've seen that from the Braves, right?
Yeah, I've seen it from the Red Sox.
Mid-season, they heat up, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
they
I-
get hot. They're the hottest team in baseball, and then they're
Yeah.
hot on the tails of the Phillies to win the division.
I mean, I made a joke a little bit ago. Rafi Devers, the first 15 bats of his season, had 12 strikeouts. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do to start the season. I've seen crazier things happen, and the Braves will be fine, I think.
All right, National League West, is it the toughest division?
Right now, it certainly is.
Padres, Dodgers, and Giants.
Yeah. I mean, you take the Rockies out of the equation. Well, yeah, and maybe the Diamondbacks, but you take the Rockies out of the equation. That's a very, very,
Yeah.
very tough division.
Yep.
And listen, those three teams that you just talked about, I think the consensus the Dodgers should be the team to win that division.
Right.
But I would not be shocked if at this given moment, if you asked me, I would not be shocked if either one of those teams won the division.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the Giants. Dodgers and Padres for sure. Giants, I still want to.
They got Verlander.
get some
They're
more
gonna be
judgment on them.
good.
So, all right. So it's been a fun hour and a couple minutes here on the sports recap on this Tuesday night. We'll be back next Tuesday at 7:00. The rookie should be back next week.
His recovery should be complete.
I
by
would hope
then.
his recovery is complete.
He does need a fish and chips and Guinness flush, I think, at this point.
Okay. All right. So he should be back next week at 7:00, and we will all be back, and we'll have some more stuff to talk about. We'll talk some hockey next week, throw some baseball in there, and we'll probably start getting ready for the NFL draft. See you next week.
Real Country is 550 AM WAME, 92.9 W225.